to another very special edition of Sports Take. My name is Johnny Redmond. As always, I'm joined by the ever wonderful Nick Odell. But today we have two very special guests with us. We have Joseph Arvison and we have Dalton Goins. How are you guys doing today?
Awesome, man. Glad to be a part.
Great.
All right. Well, we're very fortunate to have you guys on the show. Unfortunately, Jonathan Donnelly and Joseph Gentile could not join us, but we're going to Nick?
Yeah, what's up? Oh, yeah, trivia question. Sorry. Sorry about that, guys.
Started off right.
Yeah,
There
right.
we go.
All right, trivia question for today, boys. On this day in 1923, this is a baseball question for you guys. The Cleveland Indians defeated the Boston Red Sox 27-3 today. How many runs were scored in the sixth inning? All right, guys, you each get one guess, starting with Dalton. What do you think?
I don't know why, but I'm going with 13.
Joe, how about you?
Listen, it's such a specific question. It's either all of them or none of them, and I'm going with all of them, all 30 runs.
27, you mean?
27 runs.
Johnny, what do you think?
Joe, I had the exact same reasoning for my answer, but I'm going to go a little bit different, and I'm going to say like 20. So we'll see. It's got to be at least 20.
Yeah.
It's got to be a high number.
All right. Well, we will reveal the answer at the end of the show. But for now, for all those who are tuning in out there, leave your answers in the comments below, and we'll see if you're right at the end of the show. Back to you, Johnny.
All right. Thank you very much, Nick. With that said, I think we're go ahead and ready to start our roundtable for the day. As you guys know, most recent news, Patrick Mahomes got his big payday. $477 million guaranteed over 10 years with incentives worth up to $503 million through 2031. My question for you guys is, did he earn it? Dalton, we'll start with you.
Tough question. I mean, I think if you go off what he's done so far, I'll put it like this. I think he's the only person in the NFL that you could even say is close to deserving this contract at the moment. But I feel like it's very risky for KC. I see it dynasty or bust. I mean, I think all KC fans should think that. That's what Mahomes said. We're going for a dynasty. If you don't achieve that, I think it is a bust. And then again, if we have injuries, if injury plagues this guy, which it could happen because he is very mobile and he's a bit risky himself. He could be the next Bobby Bonilla. I mean, he could be the Bobby Bonilla of football. So I hope the best for him, but I think he deserves it based on his play, but it's very risky.
Interesting. Joe?
Interesting take. I don't think he's going to be the next Bobby Bonilla, but if you look at his stats over the last 2 years, over 9,000 pass yards, 75 touchdowns. He's the youngest player to have 75 touchdowns in 2 years. He had, I think it was 12 touchdowns last year, which is the most ever by a quarterback in a playoffs series. I think he definitely got what he deserved. And the dynasty or bust thing, as long as they can keep the playmakers around him, the Tyreek Hills, the Kelce's, if they put enough money to the side to keep those guys around him, I think that they're the next dynasty. They're the next
I
Patriots.
agree. I mean, Mecole Hardman too. Don't forget about that guy, the Georgia boy.
Yeah.
Cole Hardman, absolutely.
Now let me ask you this, and Dalton and Nick, feel free to clue in if you guys feel so. Do you guys think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be the next Patriots?
I hope not.
Well, let me put it to you this way. So the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, obviously they had the Patriots number last time they played around, right? So here's the thing. I mean, with Patrick Mahomes' contract, Patrick Mahomes is still going to put up amazing numbers, by the way. Like he's still gonna do what he does on the field, but to say that the Kansas City Chiefs are the next Patriots, I could see it, but only time will tell.
Okay. Let me ask you guys a question here, because Dak Prescott was asking for $30 million this year, and he got it. Patrick Mahomes got his payday, certainly. Does Patrick Mahomes getting paid set precedent for other quarterbacks? Are they going to start asking for $55, $60 million? What do you guys think?
I think they will. I mean, but they obviously don't deserve it. I think if Josh Allen stays healthy, was that his name? Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. I get him confused with Rosen, but Josh Allen, I think he's the next one up that is going to ask for a ridiculous amount of money, and I mean he's not worth it. But I mean, there's a lot of guys that are on that, that middle point where they're probably going to ask for a lot of money and they're not going to get it. I was actually surprised that Cam Newton didn't ask for a lot of money, but I think he felt like he couldn't. He was in a bad spot. Patriots were, in my opinion, the only place he could have went besides Chicago, and they chose to get Foles. So I think it's going to happen, but I don't think anybody even close to deserves it. So it's going to cause a lot of chaos in the league these upcoming years.
Yeah, I don't think, like based on history for setting a precedent with this contract, Patrick Mahomes only is the sixth player in NFL history to receive a 10-year deal. The previous 5, however, has failed to meet expectations. We're talking about Brett Favre back in 2001, Drew Bledsoe, 2001, Donovan McNabb, Dante Culpepper, Michael Vick. I mean, all those players combined, when they signed their respective contracts, only 1 Super Bowl appearance combined out of all of them, 0 Super Bowl titles. So, like I said, Patrick Mahomes is going to put up ridiculous numbers like he's been, but will the end result be the Super Bowl? Only time will tell. That's the thing.
Joe, any thoughts?
It's something I'm real nervous for. As you guys know, but everybody might not, I'm an Arizona Cardinals fan. So if Kyler Murray brings them to the Super Bowl in the next year or two, what kind of money is he gonna?
We'll see.
For like
that's the thing.
Too high of a premium, so.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Patrick Mahomes is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he did throw for, 50 touchdowns in his second season. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback, but he doesn't deserve $500 million. No NFL player at all deserves $500 million, and I know how important the quarterback position is, but I hope that Kyler Murray does not ask for 50, 55, $60 million. That would be ridiculous. And to be fair, Dalton, I think Josh Rosen and Josh Allen get themselves mixed up all the time.
Yeah.
Josh Rosen deserves a chance in the NFL.
Oh, I totally agree. I think he he got the worst deal possible. I mean, the guy didn't play bad. In my opinion, I don't think he played that bad. I'm so shocked that on draft night or whatever, that somebody did not try to get him to make him their starting quarterback. Do I think he's great? No, but I think he's a whole lot better than a lot of people that are in the league. I think he's better than Trubisky. You might could say that he's better than I think he's better than Sam Darnold. There's a lot of people I think he's better. Fitzmagic's great, but he's better than him. I think the beard and the personality wins Fitzmagic his jobs, and he plays pretty well. But come on, the guy should not be starting quarterback anywhere.
Yeah,
but.
We were talking about this yesterday too. It's surprising to see that Josh McCown has a consistent starting role as well.
Yeah.
But especially Trubisky and Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was supposed to be one of those sure things, and he's just been absolutely terrible. Granted, he hasn't had the pieces around him, but you could say the same thing for Daniel Jones as well. So, I completely agree with you there.
I think I seen a video actually, and it was Sam Darnold just totally missing. Wide open. I think it was Robbie Anderson. Countless times. And I'm like, I feel like I could make some of those throws. The dude's wide open. Just put it on him.
To be fair, Julian Edelman can make some of those throws,
He could. He could. No doubt.
He did play quarterback a long time ago, but, I completely agree. With that said, I think we're ready to move on to the next topic. So you guys have heard that Gordon Hayward has said that he will not play while his son is being born. So he's not going to miss the birth of his kid, basically. So my question for you guys is, with everything that the NBA is imposing based on all the quarantine rules and entry and exit into the bubble, how much of the season is Gordon Hayward going to miss, and how will the Celtics fare without him? Dalton?
To be honest, I think he's going to miss the whole season. I don't think he's going to play. I understand, the virus is a real thing, and I would look out for my kids if I had kids, but so I respect his decision. There's, I just don't think he's going to play, and I honestly don't think it's going to even bother the Celtics. I think the Celtics have a phenomenal roster. You've got two guys. I think Jaylen Brown and Tatum. I think they can be starters anywhere in the league, anywhere. I don't care where it's at. So I think without Hayward, I think they're going to be okay. I don't see that causing them to lose games or lose a chance at the the playoffs or the title, whatever. I just don't see it. But I respect his decision. It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe?
I don't think he's going to miss any of the season, because what I was reading is that the baby's due in September, which would put the birth of the child into the first week of the playoffs. Sound families can rejoin the teams in the bubble when the playoffs start. So the sounds of it is Gordon Hayward's going to have his wife in Florida with him for the birth of the child. So I know if he leaves the bubble for more than 7 days, he can't come back. And once he leaves the bubble, he has to at least self-quarantine for 4 days. So depending how far apart they spread out the playoff games at that time, he might miss 1 or 2 games, but I don't see him missing a big chunk of the season if he does decide to do that.
It's funny, you guys both bring up really contrasting points. One of you saying that the entire season, and one of you saying, "Oh, maybe a game or two, but that's it."
Everything I've seen is he wants to play. He wants to be on the court. So I'm going by his word.
Yeah, and it's not like you're absolutely right, Dalton. It's not like the Celtics are missing anything. Between him and Brown, or between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and even Kemba Walker. I mean, he's their fourth leading scorer, and he's averaging 17.3 points a game. But you don't really know. I mean,
Yeah, I think they're going to be fine. I really don't see it being that big of a problem. Now, if it was Tatum, yeah, panic. Hit the panic button.
Yep. Nick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so Hayward was quoted a quote as saying it was an easy decision for him to do this, and I completely support his decision. I think he could miss some time in September to for the birth of his child, but Landon, but get this: if he is absent for less than 7 days, he must test negative for each day that he's gone, and then quarantine for 4 days after returning. So it's there's definitely some strict rules around that. So let's hope that Hayward stays healthy for all you Celtics fans out there, including myself. But so the birth of his son is in September, like Joe said. It's going to be playoff time. More specifically, I think it's going to be the conference semifinals or the conference finals. If he misses time during the conference semifinals, I'm looking at the look at the NBA playoff picture here. If Hayward misses time in September during the conference semifinals, I think the Celtics should be good. I think they should be good without him, and they'll pull out the W in the series. If Hayward misses time in the conference finals, you're looking at a team like going up against the Bucks in the conference finals, and the Celtics might struggle there. So it all depends on who they're matched up with at the time Hayward is absent. So, we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited for this NBA season to start.
I think it's going to be great.
It could be really tough if they end up playing the Bucks. So let me ask Joe and Dalton. Would you rather have Gordon Hayward miss a couple games in the conference semifinals or the conference finals? Depending on who they play, obviously. Joe?
Go ahead.
That's a tough take because depending on who they have, obviously the matchups are going to be all there. If you don't have them for the semifinals and you make it to the finals, it's a great addition to have them into the finals. But if you have them for the finals and you don't have the semifinals and you lose, then you're not in the finals anyways. So
yeah,
that's really tough. It depends on the matchups. If they're playing a team like the Heat, I think that they don't need him as much as, like Nick was saying, if they play a team like the Bucks, where they're going to need him a little bit more against the Bucks than they are say the Heat or a team like that, or Toronto. They'll need him for Toronto.
I totally agree. I think if they're playing in my opinion, if I'm the coach, I would rather have him for the conference finals and the semis. I mean, yeah, you're right, Joe. If you don't get there, it really doesn't matter. But I just feel like the Celtics are a good enough team that they can probably beat a lot of the teams without him. But I do think that it would be nice to have him against the Bucks, or I honestly think the Bucks, the Heat, and the Raptors and Celtics are the only team from the East that have a chance to win it all. So I would rather have him for the finals, the conference finals. But I mean, you're right. I mean, if you lose the semis, you're going home, so it don't really matter. I mean, it's a tough situation there.
Yeah. I think that's why I would rather have him for the conference semifinals, but just because if he were to miss, he could miss the finals anyways, even if he misses the semifinals, just because of, if he's, like you guys said, if he's gone for 7 days, then, I mean, that's it. He can't come back. So if the Celtics even get that far.
If his wife comes to Florida, right, realistically, I think he takes 2 or 3 days for the childbirth, maybe the day before, the day of the birth, and the day after. and then he quarantines for 4 days. He's gone for 7 days. So the most amount of games I think he'll miss in those 7 days are 3.
Yeah.
So he's only out for 3 games if that's the plan, to have her come to Florida with them when the bubble opens up and everything.
You know,
So I don't.
Well, my thing is the question that I have about it is, what is, if he's really worried about the virus in his child, what is the difference of them being there? If he gets it, they're there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see what the difference is, whether he flies back to where they're at or if she's there with him. I mean, the virus is not going to pick favorites. If it wants to get them, it's going to get them. I mean, I just don't see the thought process between that. I don't know. It don't make sense to me.
yeah, and knowing Hayward's competitiveness on the floor, I feel like he's going to take as much little time as possible to be there for the birth of his child. Although he is a family man, so I could be wrong, but
Right.
Family man and being competitive on the floor, that's really tough to juggle there,
Yeah. Tough situation.
And I think it's his first son. I think he has 3 daughters.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
You got
So
to be.
that first boy is always a big deal.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is so it could be either or. Well, only time will tell.
By the way, we do want to take this opportunity. If Gordon Hayward, if you are watching this, congratulations. And I'm sure he'll be a beautiful baby boy, and I hope he comes out healthy and smiling and just as energetic and positive as you are. So congratulations, Gordon Hayward. But you know what? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. You guys bring up some good points. I mean, as a Celtics fan, I really hope that he only misses a couple of games. But if he doesn't, it's completely understandable. It's not the end of the world. The only time where I can really see it being trouble, like Nick said, like you guys said, if it's against the Bucks. But really, I mean, there's only a couple of contenders in there as well, like you said, Dalton. So
Right.
we'll have to wait and see. Go ahead, Dalton.
No, that's it. I just totally agree with you. I think it's only 4 teams. I mean, it's the only thing I see.
Yeah. So with that said, I think we're ready to move on to our third topic, which so Japan is going to have soccer and baseball games with fans in them starting as early as this week. They want to allow as many as 5,000 fans or 50% capacity, whichever one comes first. My question for you guys, is this a good idea, and will the U.S. get to this point in the foreseeable future? Dalton, go ahead.
It's tough. I mean, I think, in my opinion, I think the only way to solve this whole thing is open everything back up. And, we hope that the young people get the virus first, and that way we can, grow immunity to it, and maybe it'll go away. But I just feel like we shouldn't shut down everything totally and disallow fans for a virus that, has it's got a, you got a 99.8 chance of surviving with it. I mean, it is serious. Don't get me wrong. But I think Japan is doing a great thing, and I'm hoping that the U.S. takes note of it and says, hey, look, we got to do this. I mean, college football is coming up, soon. And if fans are not in the stadiums, you're going to have countless universities. I mean, they're going to fall apart. They're going to, the money comes from the football. So I think the U.S. really needs to take notes, and maybe we can start opening things back up. But I think it's a great thing for Japan. And, the game's a little bit different without fans. That's all I'll say. Now, I know safety's important and stuff like that, but I'm all for it. That's just my opinion. I'm all for it.
And you said the point yesterday, college football gets a lot of universities, especially D1 universities, FBS, get a lot of their revenue from
Right.
college football games.
Oh, I would honestly say 75% or more of their revenue comes from college football.
I can't imagine Happy Valley without any fans,
Yeah.
or Death Valley without any fans.
I know.
It's a crazy thought. So hopefully, I completely agree. I hope I hope the U.S. is able to take note of that, and I think they should have a little bit more sanctions for now, just so we get to that point in August and September when we're ready to
Right.
start letting fans back in. But
Right.
one can only hope. Joe, what do you think?
I agree. I think the fact that Japan's numbers have been going down with the coronavirus, they're in the right situation to be opening up to fans into the stands. Us over here in the U.S., we've done a little bit of soft openings, and our numbers just keep spiking. So I do think that we need to take some more time for this to really try to do what other countries have done and get it more under control. But I'm hoping. Arizona comes around 3 times to the Northeast this year. I need to see them in person.
Yeah, I think it's a little easier for us in Massachusetts too. I don't know if you guys watching at home know this, but Dalton is actually from Georgia. The rest of us are from Massachusetts. In Georgia, I believe it's one of the few states where numbers are going up, or it's one of the many very few the numbers are actually going down because of soft openings. But Dalton?
I really couldn't even hear your question. It started breaking up there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my apologies. The internet connection's a little unstable. But for those of you watching at home, Dalton is from Georgia, and he's in Georgia right now, and the rest of us are in Massachusetts right now. So I guess it's a little skewed as to our opinion, because Massachusetts is one of the few states where the coronavirus is actually going down right now.
Right.
Compared to a lot of the other states where they're either staying the same or they're rising back up. So, Dalton, do you have any?
Yeah.
You want to add to that?
To be honest with you, without sporting events and stuff like that, I mean, to me, it seems like Georgia has been back to normal for, 3 months now. I mean, people are gathering and partying and, it just seems normal without sports. I mean, if I'm being honest. And to be honest with you, I know 3 people that have had coronavirus this whole entire time. And I'm like, I see that today Georgia surpassed the 100,000 mark. And I'm like, where are these people at? Every flu season I could name 250 people that have had the flu and have had severe complications from the flu. We've went through a whole season of coronavirus, and I can't name anybody that have had any kind of complications from it. Now, that I'm not saying that it is not real. I've already stated, it is a real thing, but I just don't understand what is going on. And you could start. When all the protests and the peaceful protests started happening, the numbers really started to spike. And I don't think it is directly linked to the protests. I think it's all, it's all of it together. People in Georgia have just been acting like it's normal. That's just the truth. So I don't know how it's been up there. I don't know about lockdowns, but it seems normal here to me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a completely different situation in Japan too. I know Japan and Korea where they've been having they have been having professional sports play because numbers have been really going down. But it's different everywhere you go.
Right.
Nick, what do you think?
Yeah. So basically, in my mind, for them to allow fans at 50% capacity, okay, you got to think of a few factors here. One, are they going to be socially distant, from each other, or are they going to be crowded together? Because if they're going to follow the guidelines, like being socially distant at 50% capacity, I think they should be fine. But if they're closer together, then we'll have a problem. So it all depends on how they follow the protocols with with that. So, and do we see the U.S. having fans in the foreseeable future? I don't, unfortunately, and it pains me to say this, but I don't think so. With the way the trends are going right now, probably like next year, the year after, maybe. I'm sorry to be a pessimist about this, but the reality we live in, gentlemen. So,
I agree. I think you're right. But I don't think that if that happens, there's already been universities lose their college just because baseball season and track and field didn't happen. So if this happens, you're talking about, major changes in our life. There's going to be so many teams that are just no longer there. So I think, I don't know if the cure is worth all the things that are going to happen to fund it or to let it just run its course. I just don't know if it's worth, all these people losing their jobs and their careers. And I don't know. It's very tricky.
It's funny you mentioned that too about colleges losing a lot of their funding because they weren't able to have baseball and track. UConn, I believe, had to cut 25% of its total athletics funding. They cut a lot of their programs because they weren't able to afford them anymore. So it's tough. And you know what? It's really hard to see people, lose their jobs and lose their livelihood. And we can only hope that people, take the virus a little bit more seriously, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see, and I hope that we're able to get at that level by the time college football season rolls around, by the time that, maybe at the very worst, 2021, I hope people are able to, take the virus just a little bit more seriously. But I guess time will tell. With that said, I think we're ready to move on to our final topic of the night for our roundtable. The NFL and the NHL and the NHL Players Association came to a new collective bargaining agreement. This old one was set to expire in 2022, but the new one is going to last through the end of 2022 and 4 more years after that. And it gives players a lot more power, and it has a very detailed plan on how the NHL is going to handle the coronavirus situation in every situation moving forward. So my question for you guys is, which aspect of the collective bargaining agreement were you most impressed with, if any? Dalton?
Like I said earlier, hockey's not one of my most favorite sports. I like watching it, but I don't understand the past bargaining agreements and what is different from this one. So I read through it, and like you said, Joe, I think it's great that this is the first time they haven't had a lockout in the last 3 tries. So that's a good thing, And I think Nick, you said about the players. The Players Association is a whole lot better than what it used to be, and that's great because I feel like every other sport has all this figured out. I don't know why hockey is taking so long to figure this out. But not every sport's perfect with anything, but I think from what I'm reading and what I know, I think it's a pretty good deal, and I think it's going to improve the game.
Well, we're certainly happy to see that the players and the NHL are actually agreeing at one point. There have been 2 lockouts in the past 25 years because of the collective bargaining agreement. So
3.
It's nice to see them.
3.
3. Exactly.
One in the 90s.
Exactly. So it's
1 in each decade, actually. 1 in the 90s, 1 in the mid 2000s, and 1 in the 2010s. So
wow.
Yeah. So it's nice to see them giving the players a little bit more power. But I guess I don't know. Joe, what do you think?
Well, hockey's my sport, so I could talk about this for a little while, but I'll keep it short. I think with everything we just saw go on with the MLB and the owners, the player association and the owners, I think it's really great that you see in the CBA that they have agreed on like a revenue split because of the coronavirus, and the NHL has stepped in and put in a plan so that the teams won't lose money or won't lose too much money at least. I think the biggest thing out of the whole CBA that, in my opinion, is the biggest thing is the fact that the NHL players can now participate again in the Olympics, which is really cool. It'll make it a lot more exciting. So they had to skip the last one because of the collective bargaining agreement. And now they will be able to play in the next two at least.
Wow. That's huge right there. That's a huge thing.
Yep. That's a lot of money right there for different teams, for the country. For Team USA is going to have a lot more players that are more known. Canada always has players that are known, but it's going to help those organizations build up revenue so that they can fund the junior teams and keep growing hockey, because hockey's a fast-growing sport in the U.S. As much as people don't see it, it is. That and lacrosse have been some of the fastest-growing sports in the U.S.
Absolutely. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, so a couple things jumped out at me, about the NHL's new CBA with the NHLPA. Yeah, so I was impressed about how the players get more power in this negotiation. I mean, you usually get the owners, which have the more power, but the NHL's trying to turn into a players' league, and I think it's great that the players have more power in these negotiations, and so and one other thing too is the return to play. The return to play is what jumped out at me is that the Stanley Cup Finals will be held in Edmonton, out of all places. So really, why Edmonton? I don't understand why is that the case. We'll see how it plays out, but why not Toronto, where hockey was founded, or because Canada has more strict guidelines for COVID. So by the time the Stanley Cup Finals roll around, it'll be fall. It'll be the start of flu season. I don't really know, how they're gonna deal with that up in Canada, because you have to travel. Because if there's a U.S. representative in the Stanley Cup Finals, which I'm totally sure will be, there's 24, I think 25 teams in the U.S., 6 in the Canada. My question is how is that U.S. team gonna pass all the protocols to be entered in Canada? There's a lot of questions about the Stanley Cup Finals going to Edmonton, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I think you're right. The flu season is going to be a big deal now that we've shut everything down for something similar to the flu. And I'll be honest with you. I know you've seen this on Facebook, and you probably even think I got really sick in October and was sick for 2 weeks. And I'm starting to wonder, if I had the coronavirus, I don't really know. It wasn't a real thing. My uncle passed away in January, and it was right before coronavirus. He was tested for flu multiple times, and nothing showed up. So it could have been the coronavirus. Who knows? And that's the thing. Like when the flu starts mingling with this, like you're
Yeah.
going to have so many cases that, is it coronavirus? Is it flu? I just don't understand what's going to happen and how we're going to manage it. Because in my opinion, if we look in 5 years from now, I think we're going to look back on this and say, hey, this was just like a flu or kind of similar to a flu or whatever. And it's just going to have its season, just like the SARS virus did, just like, the swine flu. I mean, it's going to run its course and it's going to go back to normal. But will the normal or will this new normal be the normal that we knew? Who knows? That's a good point. I didn't know that they were hosting it in Edmonton, so that's going to be very tricky.
Yeah, it was in the article that I read. So
I think one of the reasons you asked why they didn't choose Toronto and they chose Edmonton is Edmonton's not as popular as Toronto, so they went with one of the smaller cities in Canada. And I think they chose Canada because of how strict their rules have been and how few cases they have compared to the United States.
yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. Thank God we have a hockey person on the show.
Yeah, for real.
Knows the stuff about hockey. I think Sharverson for the input on that.
Absolutely.
Of course. I will say a couple things that I was really impressed with is that if players decide to opt out once they get there, they have 3 days to be able to do so, no questions asked, which I was really impressed with. Like I said, it gives more power to the players, which is something that the NHL has really been lacking, which is why they had 3 strikes, So it's nice to see just a little bit more power to the players, especially right now when they need it, when they're going out of their way and putting themselves at risk to play hockey. So another thing that I was really impressed with, which I'm not going to go into too much detail about, was their plan to integrate Seattle in as the 32nd franchise for hockey. So I was really impressed with that. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. You guys really spoke a lot about the National Hockey League and the collective bargaining agreement, so I really want to thank you guys for that. With that said, I think we're ready to move on to our game for the show. This game is called Too High, Too Low, or Just Right. So, as you guys know, lots of players are getting paid this year, especially quarterbacks in the NFL. So I've got a few quarterbacks listed here, and I've got the salaries that they're getting paid for 2020. You guys are going to tell me whether you think it's too high, too low, or just right, and explain in about 10 to 15 seconds why you feel that way. You guys ready?
Ready.
All right. So the first quarterback is someone we've already talked about, Patrick Mahomes. He's getting paid $45 million in 2020. Is this too high, too low, or just right? Dalton?
Like I said earlier, I think it's just right. I think he's the only one that could ask for something like that or even get it. I think it's just right, but it's risky. That's all I'm going to say. Nothing else needs to be said. So.
Interesting. Joe?
With all the new contracts coming around, I think it's just right. I think he's making what the new generation of quarterback will be making.
Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I'm gonna say it's a little bit too high, and I'll tell you why. I said off air that there's a risk-reward factor here that plays into this contract, and so I think that it's too high because I think there's more risk than reward. Simple as that. With a contract like this, like an injury like this could, end of season or, maybe end of career. I mean, I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Joe and Dalton. I think it's way too high. And you know what, Dalton, I'm going to agree. There's a lot of uncertainty there.
Big time.
I don't think any quarterback should get paid more than, I don't think any quarterback should get $500 million over the course of 10 years. It's just absolutely ridiculous. The fact that he's making $45 million this year is crazy. But I digress. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next quarterback, Tom Brady.
Tom.
He's getting paid $25 million this year. Dalton, too high, too low, or just right?
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. Tom Brady's the GOAT. It's too low. The man is a 6-time champion. In my opinion, should be an 8-time champion if the defense could step up. The guy's the GOAT. Pay him whatever he wants.
Joe?
Oh man, too high. I know his legacy. It is what it is, but he's a 42, 43-year-old quarterback. Still trying to play the game. It's the right amount for his legacy, but I wouldn't. If I was a team owner, I would not give Brady $25 million to captain my team, to lead my team.
Nick?
Yeah, so I think it is. I'm gonna say so. Like, if he was on the Patriots, it would be too high. But now that he's on the Buccaneers, I think it's just about right, honestly.
Yeah.
So like that. It's like that's my spin on it. What do you think, Johnny?
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of hypocrite. I'm going to say it's just a little bit too low because Tom Brady has taken a pay cut every single year he's been in New England. I would give him $30 million for the next 2 years, but that is the only situation. That is it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Speaking of $30 million, our next guy, Russell Wilson, is getting paid $35 million this year. Dalton, too high, too low, or just right?
I think, in my opinion, this is the toughest one out of all of them. But I think it is just right. I think Russell Wilson is a superstar in the league. He's one of the biggest games. Yeah, he probably blew the Super Bowl. But I don't think that was his fault. I think it's Pete Carroll's fault. In my opinion, Russell Wilson will probably end his career or could end his career with 3 or 4 Super Bowls. I think he's that good. If they can build the team around him and improve the defense a little bit more, I think he's got a chance. I think it's just right.
Some good points. Joe?
I went with Mahomes being just right, so I'm going to go with Wilson being just right as well. Mahomes' numbers are better than Wilson's in the first 2 years, and if they're giving him $35 million, if someone outperforms you, you got to get paid a little more. But with Russ being a 2-time Super Bowl champ, I think he's definitely earned what he's getting paid.
You guys have some interesting takes today. Nick?
Yeah, so I think Russell Wilson, again, like I agree with Dalton. This is the toughest one out of the group, but I'll have to say just right. I mean, Russell Wilson, he might, he's such a versatile quarterback. And, yeah, why not? Just right. Johnny, what do you think?
I'm going to be honest, guys. It gets a whole lot tougher as we go further down the list. Russell Wilson, I think it's too high. Like I said, I think $30 million is pretty much the highest I would pay a quarterback, and he's good, and he's going to bring the money back. But I would invest that money maybe into making a better offensive line because it's just absolutely awful.
Bad.
But I guess that's just me.
I agree. That's actually a good point. His offensive line. I mean, the guys, he runs around every play. He has to. I mean, the offensive line is almost as bad as the Falcons.
Can you imagine how well he would do with Dallas's offensive line?
Dak Prescott would be homeless.
The guy would be.
Seriously. I mean.
Moving on. Jimmy G, another Patriots alum. He's getting paid $27.5 million this year after appearing in the Super Bowl Too high, too low, or just right? Dalton?
Way too high. The guy's a jabroni. I'm sorry. The guy's a system quarterback. Yes, he went to the Super Bowl, but what's his name for the Buccaneers? Won a Super Bowl. What is his name? Nobody can even name his name. That's
Brad
what I'm
Johnson?
saying.
Yeah, Rob Johnson. I was just about
That's
to
what
say
I'm
that,
saying.
Johnny.
See, that's what I'm saying. You know, great he went to the Super Bowl, but it's way too high. He should be getting $10 million, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, Joe.
So this isn't a new contract. He signed this deal in 2018, and he got way overpaid when he signed it in 2018. He's still getting way overpaid. He's almost like a 42-year-old Brady. He can't throw the ball 30 yards downfield or farther. I don't think he's. It's way too high. He's not worth 27.5.
Nick?
Sorry, Jimmy G.
Hey, I gotta agree with both you guys on this. Jimmy G's way too high on the pay scale right here. If he had won the Super Bowl against Kansas City, maybe I'll up it to just right. But you gotta face the facts. But way too high for Jimmy G. Johnny Redmond, what do you think?
First off, I'm going to say this is probably the most that Brad Johnson has ever been mentioned
Bob Johnson,
since he won the Super Bowl. So kudos
Bob
to you
Johnson,
guys for
I
that.
think.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody knows
Bob
the guy's
Johnson.
name.
No, Brad Johnson. He's a guy who played for the Bucs. I think he knows who he is, or maybe he doesn't. But anyways, you guys all said too high. It contradicts everything I've been saying, but I'm going to say just right. If they can utilize his pass attack more. You see, they didn't utilize him at all. It was all run game this year in San Francisco. So if they can actually use him as the passer that he's meant to be, just right. But you know what? I would say I agree with you guys right now and say too high by a long shot. So
Yeah.
This is where it gets a little tricky. Get ready, guys. Nick Foles, another Super Bowl winning quarterback with the Eagles, is getting paid $8 million this year. Too high, too low, or just right? Dalton?
This is another tough one, but I don't think it is tough as Wilson. I mean, who was we talking about earlier?
Wilson.
It was Wilson.
Yeah.
I think it's
Brad Johnson.
just right. Just because he has been injured. I mean, if the guy's healthy, he's an absolute monster. He is one of the best competitors in the game, I think. The Patriots defense that year was not great at all, in my opinion, when he beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But the guy, it seems to me that, no matter what the situation is, he always plays. I mean, and he puts good numbers up, and it don't matter necessarily who he has on his team. I would have loved to seen what he could have done at Jacksonville, entirely healthy and maybe with a couple more weapons. I think they kind of passed on him too soon with Gardner Minshew, but it is what it is. I think it's just right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a little too low, just to shake it up a little. This guy is a former Super Bowl champion. He's going to be in the backup role probably coming out of training camp because for some reason the Bears are in love with Mitchell Trubisky.
I think
But by week 3, he will be the starter on that team because Mitchell is going to mess it up completely. So the fact that they got a guy for $8 million, I think, is a steal. Chicago did a great job. Yeah, he has injury concerns, but this far into his career, there's not many QBs that haven't been hurt a handful of times here and there. And they still get paid money. I think it's a little low. If he stays as the back, I think it's good, but I think it's a little low because I think he's going to be the starter come week 3.
Nick?
I'm going to say, so I'm gonna say for right now, since he won that Super Bowl against the Pats, I think it's just about right. Unfortunately, it's just about right. I think because he was just that one-hit wonder that year, and then it's like like he hasn't really proven himself like as like like an elite quarterback at least, and so I think it's just about right. If he didn't win that Super Bowl, it would have been too high for him. Johnny, what do you think?
Well, like I said, he is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but clearly his prime is behind him. Now, I was going to make the same point as Joe and say I think eventually he will start for the Bears. But the fact of the matter is that they're still paying Mitch Trubisky as well. So I think it's just a little bit too high right now. I think if any backup is making more than $5 million, and yes, I am looking at you, Chase Daniel, making $13.5 million this year. I think any backup making more than $5 million is just way too much money. So I'm going to say too high. Moving on to the next one. Daniel Jones is getting paid $6.4 million and some change this year. Dalton, too high, too low, or just right?
Man, sample size is very small with this guy. I see a lot of upside, and I think he's going to be good. I think he already is good. If I could change my statement, but I don't know. I think right now it's just right, in my opinion. And you could even say maybe a little high, but I mean I think I see good things from him. So I would go with just right.
Joe?
I'm going to go with just right, too. I think he's still on his rookie deal where he got drafted. The Giants obviously traded up to get him. I think they want to make him the face of the franchise. He's just got to prove a little bit in his rookie deal. And I think 6.4 is right where it needs to be.
Nick?
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit too high. Again, like Dalton said, the sample size is like a little on the small side. We haven't seen much of Daniel Jones. I mean, we've seen much of him last year, but that was Eli Manning's last year. So, like, the sample size is smaller than the normal quarterback, like starting quarterback, and so I'd have to say it's a little bit too high, but not extremely too high. Johnny, what do you think?
I think it's too low. I mean, the guy had a lot of fumbles, but he also had a very porous offensive line and zero coverage. He's clearly got the skill set where he's going to be a great franchise quarterback in what's an okay division, with the exception of the Cowboys. No offense to the Eagles if you're watching this, Donnelly. But I mean, he's going to be a really, really good quarterback for a long time. I think 6.4 is too low for right now. I would go as high as 10, but I guess that's just me.
His next deal.
What's up?
I said his next deal.
Yeah, I agree.
The rookie deals, you can't pay a guy $10 million getting drafted.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, hey, if you're Trevor Lawrence, I'll pay $10 million for you. Period. Swear to God.
Well, Trevor Lawrence has to play next year in college football, so we'll see.
He doesn't have to play, but he probably will.
Yep.
So Baker Mayfield is getting paid $8 million this year. Too high, too low, or just right, Dalton?
That's his rookie contract, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I would, based on his rookie contract, I would say it's just right, because I think he had, coming out of college, he had more talent, more upside than Daniel Jones, and I think Daniel Jones is just right. So, Baker, his first year was pretty good, and then the second year, huge drop off. But I think it is a lot to do with the organization. You've got to you've got Nick Chubb in the backfield. Hand him the freaking ball. I mean, the guy can run 30-plus carries a game, and it ain't going to faze him. He's been doing it since the 8th grade. Give him the ball. So that will take a lot of pressure off Baker Mayfield. But I think it's just right. I'll go just right.
Joe?
I think it's too high. Coming on the draft, I was not a big Baker guy. I thought he was another Johnny Manziel, and his stats have proven that he's. I don't think he's a face of a franchise quarterback. To digress the way he did, throwing, I think it was 22 touchdowns and 21 interceptions last year, is not a quarterback that you want when you go out and get guys like OBJ, Jarvis Landry, you have Njoku, you have the guys around him, that team should be in the playoffs every year, and they still haven't made it.
Nick?
Yeah, I think, to echo Joe's sentiments, yeah, it's too high. I mean, I want to see the Browns do good. I want to see the Browns do good finally, but I mean, Baker Mayfield, man, let me tell you, he has to improve his stuff. He has to be worthy of what he, a starting quarterback, and I just don't see it based on his numbers, like Joe said. Johnny, what do you think?
Dalton, I completely agree with you. I think he's a great quarterback. He had a great first year, terrible second year, but I think it's just because of the organization. I think Kevin Stefanski is going to do wonders for Baker Mayfield, and he's going to get his payday. But for now, I think he's getting paid just the right amount. $8 million is exactly where he needs to be. Last but not least, we have Alex Smith getting paid $23.5 million. Dalton, too high, too low, or just right?
If there was a way too high, I would pick that. I'm sorry. Look, this guy was one of the most talented guys in the NFL. But, he suffered the most horrific injury that we've seen since Joe Theismann. And, if he comes back and he can perform like he did, yeah, sure. Maybe $20 million, not 23 or 26, whatever you said. But I just feel like, I don't know, man. It's too high, way too high. The guy's on, tree branches. His legs are not there. Best of luck to him, though. That's all I'll say.
Joe?
Best
of luck, Alex Smith, if you're watching, Joe.
At the time of the contract signing, it was a great deal, in my opinion. Obviously, you can't predict injuries. You can't predict stuff like that. So, unfortunately, right now, yes, it's way too high. I do hope he comes back, just because that would be a guy that no matter who you cheer for, what team you cheer for, you are cheering for Alex Smith that day. I think it would be tremendous to see him back on the field. Unfortunately, because of the injury, he's getting paid way too much. But if he never got hurt, if that injury didn't happen, I'd say it's right there.
Nick?
Yeah, right there with you guys. Way, way, way too high. Oh, my goodness. He signed that contract, then he got hurt. But how is he going to recover from his injury? It was such a gruesome injury. I actually watched it. Well, I didn't watch it live, but I have NFL Red Zone. I remember them cutting to an update on the game, and they showed the injury, and I was like, oh my goodness, and oh my goodness, I hope Alex Smith's recovering well. I hope so, but he's getting paid way too much. I think the I think the Redskins should cut, restructure his contract a little bit. So, Johnny, what do you think?
I think you guys forget too. They have Dwayne Haskins. So why do they need to pay Alex Smith $23.5 million? This is
They
way
gave
too
him that
high.
contract. They gave it to him before Haskins, though, I believe.
Oh, really? Okay, well.
Yeah, I think so
You
too.
can always trade him away, though. I mean, why would you?
But who's going to want it?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know. It's way too high. There's way too many question marks there. It's not like he's a bad quarterback, but he's clearly not a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
Way too many injuries, too much inconsistent play. Not discrediting the dude, but way too high. So, with that
Johnny.
said, yes.
If you don't mind, can I throw one out there to see what you guys think?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
absolutely.
All right, guys. Do you think Dak Prescott is worth the $40 million he is asking for after Mahomes got 45?
So, Dak Prescott is going to get paid just north of $30 million this year
Mm-hmm.
for being a mid-tier quarterback. In my opinion, too high.
I think that I think Dak Prescott has the best roster in football, and he is underachieved every year. I don't think that he is a bad quarterback. I agree with you. I think that he's mediocre. I think he's middle of the line. Maybe, you maybe can say he's good, but my God, you have the best offensive line in football. You have one of the best running backs in football. You've got decent guys on the outside to catch the football. You're just not doing your job. And that's how I feel. And, the Dallas Cowboys have had problems for 20 years now, whether it's coaching, quarterbacks. Jerry Jones needs to get out of the business. He's terrible. Terrible.
Nick, what do you think?
Well, right in line with you guys. Dak Prescott, he has underachieved way too high. So that's
Short and sweet.
I thought.
All right.
I don't think he's
So
anywhere close to $1 million.
I love that we all agree that Alex Smith and Dak Prescott are both paid way too high in the NFC East. I don't know what they're doing with their quarterbacks, but they got to
Hey, I
stop
got a
overpaying.
quick question, if I can ask this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What do you guys think? And this is what I'm thinking. Would you rather have Andy Dalton for that less, for his money, or would you have Dak Prescott? In my opinion, give me Andy Dalton. He has had nobody in Cincinnati besides A.J. Green and T.J. Houshmandzadeh or whatever Marshawn Lynch called him. Yeah, that's it. I can't even name some of his good running backs. Because I think they were even before Andy Dalton. But I know Andy Dalton has not won a playoff game. I understand that. But in my opinion, if you put Andy Dalton with the Dallas Cowboys, with what they have, I think you succeed further than what Dak Prescott can do. And that's just my opinion. It's a hot take, but whatever.
Lava take. I love it.
Joe, what do you think?
I'm in for it. I don't think Dak is worth the money. I'm not a big Tom Brady supporter like everybody else in New England. I would take Tom Brady. I'd give him a $5 million raise and pay him $30 million to be the quarterback of the Cowboys before I give Dak $30 million. But I think Dalton's interesting. Their teams are similar in wide receiving cores, but obviously Dallas has the better line, has the better running back. I think he would take them to the playoffs.
I agree.
Yeah, Dalton, you made an excellent point with that. I never even thought of it until now. So
Dalton for
I
Dalton.
totally agree with you. on Andy Dalton, but like will Jerry Jones see that? I don't think so. He's all about the Dak Prescott. He's all about the Dak.
I feel like he's all about Andy Dalton as well. I feel like
I
feel
don't
like
know.
Jerry
Like
is the biggest snake in the grass, and I feel like he is the reason Dallas has not been able to reach the Super Bowl since the historic Dallas years. I mean, I feel like Jerry is a big problem, and
yeah.
I mean, my God, he had Jason Garrett. The guy should be working on computers, not coaching NFL a head coach. I mean, I'm just sorry. But
I think that's why Jason Garrett. I think they got Mike McCarthy in there now. I think
totally agree.
I think they got some solid coaching. They should make the playoffs. They're gonna bump the Eagles out.
Yeah. Johnny, I think we should move on to the bracket, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this about Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton. I would rather have Cam Newton as quarterback. Lucky for me, I'm a Patriots fan. So
All right, Johnny, you ready for bracket? Let's hit this segment.
I'm ready for the bracket. So I'm going to explain the rules to Joe and Dalton. With the exception of the championship question, each person gets 60 seconds to answer the question in a head-to-head matchup for bracket. Then after each person is done, the other two will vote on them on a scale of 1 to 5. Whoever gets the most points moves on. If the two tie, they move on to a tiebreaker question. When we get to the championship question, each person will get 90 seconds to answer that championship question. If you go on to the third place game, the loser of that game will get muted for the rest of the show. You guys understand?
Yep.
You guys ready?
Ready.
All right, guys.
All right. So Nick and I are going to face off this week, and our question has to do with salaries. So our question is, which contract do you feel better about, Bryce Harper or Mike Trout? Nick, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first this time, and
Okay.
I'll start things off here. So this is this is actually a tough tough question to answer, because both players are really good, and both players, both players are worthy of their contracts. So, but who do I feel better about? If you really dive into it, I think it's going to be Mike Trout, and I'll tell you the reason why. Bryce Harper, if you look at his statistics, the last, since his rookie year in 2012, I would say, he has, he's basically a first half player. He sucks in the second half of the season. He gets, actually, reverse that, I think. I think he or something like that. But he's a one-half player. He's a one-half player. He's not the full player. Mike Trout's a well-rounded player, and I think he deserves. That's a contract I feel good about. Johnny, what do you think?
Nick, I have to completely disagree with you. All right, listen. Mike Trout is the better player. Last year. He had an 8.2 WAR. He had a 1.083 on base plus slugging. He had a 185 OPS plus. I mean, he is the better player. But the thing that Bryce Harper didn't have as great of a season last year. The 4.3 WAR, 35 home runs. He also had 15 stolen bases. So I think he is a fairly well-rounded player. And his defense isn't that bad either. I mean, I believe he did win 1 Gold Glove. And last year he had a 372 on-base percentage. But the thing that differentiates Bryce Harper and Mike Trout is that the Phillies are starting to surround Bryce Harper with a lot of talent. I mean, you've got Didi Gregorius, you've got Andrew McCutchen, you've got JT Realmuto, you got Rice Hoskins, you've got Aaron Nola, you've got Zach Wheeler, you've got Jake Arrieta. You've got a lot of good players in this Phillies organization. The only player that even matches near the level of talent on the Angels is Shohei Ohtani. So based off of wanting to win a championship, it seems like the Phillies have invested more. It's great to invest $426.5 million into one player and arguably the best player of his generation. But I feel a lot more comfortable investing $330 million into a player for 13 years if I'm going to surround him with the talent that I need to contend in my division.
Wow.
I think that was longer than a minute. I don't know, but
Unofficial time.
Unofficial timing. We got to do better with that. But,
Hey,
Joe,
so if I can have a comment on that real quick before I give my vote. I believe that the Angels, I agree with what you're saying, Johnny. You know, if you're going to sign a player for that much, you better have a supporting cast around him or you're not going to be very good. And I feel like they've done that, in the lineup. They've done it with pitching. Now they just got to win. I mean, in my opinion, they're in the toughest division in baseball. I think it's going to be very hard for the Phillies to make the playoffs every year. And that's not because the Phillies are not good. But the Angels just signed
Rendon.
What's his name?
Anthony Rendon.
Yeah, Anthony Rendon. So, and I think that's going to help out. But I think Mike Trout doesn't – he will never get the support that he needs. And I don't – I mean, it's a shame that the greatest player in baseball right now might not ever make it to the playoffs again. I just do not see him – I don't see him winning the division. I just can't see it. That's just how I feel.
all right, I think we're ready to vote, right?
some good points, Dalton. Dalton, what would you give me and what would you give Nick on a scale of 1 to 5?
Okay. No hard feelings here.
No.
But Johnny, I think you nailed it. Your point was 5 out of 5 for me. The way you explained it, Nick, I thought you had great points as well. But I just think Johnny's argument against you was a little bit better.
It's all yeah.
But sorry, I hate voting.
So what did you give Nick? I'm sorry.
I would. I think you're 3-5.
Okay.
If we can do half numbers there.
Okay.
Joe?
All right. So I agree with Nick, but I don't think his points were all there. I think Mike Trout, he's right there. That man deserves the biggest contract in all of baseball. I think he's the better overall player, but I'm going to give Johnny a 4. And Nick, you got to come with more facts, buddy. I need more rundown. I'm going to give you a 2.
Oh. So I think
All right,
Johnny,
so the final score there is 9-5. It looks like Nick is relegated to the third place game, a place he has seen many, many times in our show's history.
Hey, I won last week. It
might be from first to worst this week.
It might be. Yeah, we'll see.
We will have to see. I like the third place question, by the way. But for now, we're gonna figure out which of you two moves on to the third place game. Joe and Dalton, your question has to do with wrestling. Now, numbers in coronavirus are growing in WWE, even with the Slater and McIntyre fight. What can WWE do, and will it be enough? Dalton has made the first point every single time today. So we're going to go ahead and start with Joe this time.
All right. So, first, the match got changed. It's Dolph Ziggler versus Drew McIntyre for the title in 3 weeks at the next pay-per-view. But for the coronavirus stuff, they're operating in Florida, which has seen one of the biggest peaks in all of the cases throughout the country right now. I think what they need to do is take a 2-week hiatus. I know they want to keep their longest TV weekly episode running. They need to just put on some old pay-per-views, bring back some Attitude Era pay-per-views, put them on TV, let these wrestlers take 2 or 3 weeks off just to quarantine, get everybody healthy. It's been tough to watch without fans. The WWE needs fans in the stands for the storylines, for the reactions, the boos, the cheers, and I think they just need to take a little bit of a break for right now. Let everything settle back down.
Okay. Dalton?
All right. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I think AEW is taking over the game, and it's because they are risky, and they are, you know, kind of similar to this Attitude Era that we had with WWE. And in my opinion, the only thing that WWE can do to improve the show is not take a hiatus. I know safety is important, you know, promote, you know, more testing, coronavirus testing, make sure everybody's healthy. But if you're going to compete with AEW, who in my opinion is the top of the line right now, you have got to improve your show. I mean, you've got a superstar in Bobby Lashley, who in my opinion is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world at this moment. And I feel like he's underutilized. There's so many guys in the WWE that I could say that about. Kofi Kingston has been that way his whole entire career. They finally gave him the title one time. You've got to take a point or take a page out of AEW's book, and you've got to go back to that Attitude Era. That's what people want to see. That's why you lost so many fans. If you want the fans back, you know, regardless if you have fans in the stands or not, you've got to bring some of that must-watch TV back, and they're not doing it. AEW is must-watch TV every Wednesday night, and I think that's why they're on top, regardless of fans in the stands. So I think that's what WWE's got to do.
All right. Well, I think you both bring up some pretty good points. I like your specifics just a little bit more, Dalton. So I'm going to give you a 4, and Joe, I'm going to go ahead and give you a 3. But I thought they were both very, very good arguments. Nick?
Well, so I don't know enough about pro wrestling, right? So I learned valuable information from both Joe and Dalton here. I would have to give the slight edge to Dalton, though. You know, I'm going to go a little bit higher on the scale than Johnny. I'm going to go Joe with a 4, Dalton with an excellent 5. Because I think, you know, he's I think he made slightly better points, so.
All right. So with a score of 9-7, it looks like Dalton's going to move on to the championship round against Johnny.
Against
All
yourself.
right.
Yeah.
And it looks like Joe and Nick are going to move on to the third place game.
This is a dream
right,
matchup
so-
right here. I can't wait to
This
have
is a
Nick muted.
dream.
Dream matchup. Okay.
For those of you
That's
watching,
WrestleMania,
Joe
right?
and Nick met at HCC, and I believe they did a radio show a
No,
couple
we
of
didn't.
times, right?
No, we didn't.
No.
We did.
Well, I know they have talked sports a lot,
We have.
so I guess you could say this is a match made in HCC.
This has been years in the making.
I know, right? Battle it out here. Let's go.
So we don't like to go sports related, but I figured this was just too good of a question not to include this time. It's a little sports related, but it is a matter of opinion. And I want to hear why. Okay? Now, you play third base for a major league team. It's the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 outs. the batter grounds it to you. Now he's a really fast runner. He grounds it to you. You have one of two options available to you. You can try to throw him out at first base knowing how fast he is, or you can go for the error and still get the no-hitter. What would you do in that situation and why? Nick, we'll start with you.
Start with me. Okay. This is actually a really tough question. I've been thinking about over the course of, I don't know, a day or so. And you can go either way with this. But if I was a third baseman, and granted, I don't play third base in, my like recreational league, softball league that I play in. But, if I was a third baseman, me personally, I would honestly try to go for it all. I mean, I know the guy's a speedy runner, but hey, I'm one of those guys who just, you go for it all. You just go for it all. I'm for me personally, I'm that competitive of a person. I would go for it all.
Okay, Joe?
You play the hot corner for a reason. You know those balls are coming at you quick, coming at you fast. If it's a speed guy, you're playing up on the grass a little bit. I'm going for it. I'm not gonna take an error and limit him down to a no-hitter just because the guy's fast. If you're in the major leagues, you're there for a reason. You got a good enough arm to make it from third base to first base, and you should be able to throw that guy out no matter if he's Dexter Fowler or Albert Pujols running down to first base. If the ball is hit and you're able to catch it or field it successfully, you should be able to make that throw.
All right. So before I give you my votes, I just want to say I would absolutely do the same thing. Baseball, no-hitters are good. Nolan Ryan pitched 7 of them. But perfect games are immortalized. There's only been about 25 perfect games in the entire history of Major League Baseball. So, and who's to say that after you get the error, that he doesn't blow the no-hitter afterwards? Yeah. So, you got to take the opportunity while you have it, right? Joe, I really liked your reasoning just a little bit more than Nick. I felt like there was a little bit more passion in your argument. I'm going to go ahead and give you a 4. Nick, I'm going to give you a 3. Dalton?
Man, I played third base, and by God, if you hit a ball to me, I'm throwing you out, period. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with both of you. If I was also a pitcher, if I'm a pitcher and you throw the ball away and you ruin my perfect game and you got a shot to get me a perfect game, I got problems with you in the locker room, bro. So, both of you had great points, but Johnny, I agree with you. I think, Joseph, yours was a little bit more intriguing or what have you. But both of you are right. I mean, it's very tough. This is the toughest one we've had.
So what would you give Joe and what would you give Nick?
I'm the same, a 4 and a 3 4 for Joseph, 3 for Nick, maybe 3.5 for Nick. It's very close. I mean, both of you guys are right. I just think Joseph had a little bit more spit on it.
So for all intents and purposes, I decided to give you the 3.5, Nick, but unfortunately, the score this week is 8 to 6.5. Nick, you know what that means. Do you have any last words?
Not really, but congrats, Joe. I deserve the better. I deserve the 3rd place. I'm proud of you. You have beaten the defending champ. So, and now I shall mute myself.
What's funny too is that before I didn't look up the trivia answer, but I definitely looked up where to find it, so that way I could just go ahead and get the trivia answer just in case Nick lost.
I
You get
didn't
used
even
to
look
it,
it
Nick.
up.
You gotta get better at debating.
Yeah. Debate
So
team
anyway.
in high school. You should have joined it.
So we got to move on to the championship round. It's between Dalton and myself.
Hey, Johnny,
Now,
real quick, can we take
Yes.
25 seconds? I just got to run to the restroom real fast. I hate to ruin the show.
All right, go ahead.
All right, 25 seconds for sure.
During this
All right.
25-second period, I'd like to thank all of everybody watching. Thank you all for your continued support, and thank you all for voting against Nick. Really appreciate it.
And if I could too, Johnny, I just want to say
Yeah.
thank you guys for having me on the show. It's been a blast. Beating Nick is probably the highlight of my 2020 so far since I've been stuck inside. So yeah, thank you. Anytime you guys need a fill in. I also want to shout out Joe. Joe's always giving me a shout out because I'm in the comments. He's always reading what I'm saying. So, Joe, if you're watching, thank you. I'm gonna keep commenting. It's always fun to talk sports and watch you guys talk sports and hear Nick's subpar arguments about the topics of the week.
Joe Iverson, you are a huge supporter of the show, and we cannot thank you enough for that. We're absolutely happy to have you and Dalton on the show.
Yeah,
definitely, you guys are definitely great co-hosts, and we'll have to look at doing this again in the future. But
absolutely, anytime.
it's funny, you always mention that Nick is going to lose, and every single time you do, he does. And this time you finally beat him.
He does. I know. I had to come in. I was hoping for a me versus Nick matchup, whether it was the first place or the third place game.
Yeah.
But I'm happy it happened.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie,
Well,
Joseph. I'm glad the topic was over wrestling and not hockey, because if it was over hockey, you're in the ship. So thank God.
We'll keep it fair. We'll keep it even.
You guys still both did pretty well. I mean, Joe got a 7 and an 8 out of 10 in both of his arguments. And Dalton, so far, you've got a 9. So we'll have to see if that translates into the championship question. I'm going to let you decide whether you want to go first or second. For the 4 major sports, what salary caps, if any, would you impose on them? Dalton, would you like to go first or second?
I'll go second.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and go first. So first off, I think every sport is a little different. I would say for basketball, I would impose a salary cap of about $100 million. I think you got 13 guys there, maybe 15 guys if you count a couple of two-way players. It's enough where you can give a couple of stars some really, really good money, but it's not too much. I would say for hockey, got about 20 guys on that roster. I'd maybe say $125 million. You know, really, really pay those guys what they need. For football, this is where it gets interesting. You see, I'm not for paying quarterbacks a high amount of money, but you've got a lot of guys on a football team who can really contribute. So for football, I would pay $175 million to your team. So that way you can give these guys who are on the practice squad, these guys who are just starting out and their rookie contracts, what they really deserve. And for baseball is a little bit different as well because you got a 40-man roster essentially. So, but they are playing 162 games a year. So for baseball players, I would give them $300 million. And I know a lot of teams aren't going to even reach close to that amount, but I think after that, it's just way too much, you know? But I think a guy deserves about 5 or at least $7 million for playing 162 games a year. But I guess that's just me. Dalton?
Okay, so interesting there. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think there should be a salary cap. And the reason I say that is because it is up to the owners and the teams to figure out how much they think this player is worth. If you want to pay $500 million to this player, go ahead. It's going to ruin your team, but go ahead. I think that every player should be looked at individually, not necessarily as a whole. So I don't think a salary cap is necessary. Yes, are you going to have some super teams and stuff like that? Eventually you will, but some of those guys are going to not pan out. Some of those guys are going to get injured, and it's going to wind up biting that team in the butt, and then they're going to wind up having a down year of 5-10 years. I think if you don't have a salary cap, it allows every team to, it allows every team to get whatever they want. It don't matter if it's Tom Brady, or Mike Trout. It allows every team on the same playing field, and that's just what I believe in. I don't think a salary cap is helping us, but I also don't think it's hurting us. So I'm for no salary cap in all sports.
Okay. Nick, since you're muted, we'll go ahead and start with you. What would you give Dalton, and what would you give myself? We'll start with Dalton. You're going to give Dalton a 4? And what would you give myself? Ooh, okay. Joe.
All right. Both of you guys made some good points, but I think Johnny was more towards the right side, where every sports needs a salary cap. In baseball, if the Yankees, granted there's no salary cap in baseball, but once you go over a certain limit, the luxury tax, but if the Yankees didn't have that luxury tax to pay, it would give all the top guys $100 million contracts for 10 years, and it wouldn't even be fun to watch. So with that being said, Johnny, I'm going to give you a 4. And I'm going to make this fun. I see how the show goes every week.
Oh, no.
This is always my favorite. This is always my favorite round. So, Dalton, I liked your argument. Don't get me wrong, but we're going to a tiebreaker. I'm going to give you a 2.
Oh, is it really worth a 2?
Wow.
Much love.
Right.
Much love. I respect it.
Okay, so Joe, I'm actually going to let you choose the tiebreaker question. Do you have them in front of you?
I know which one I was going to choose.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're going to go with ice cream flavors.
Okay.
Chocolate, vanilla, or swirl. Which one are you picking and why?
Okay. So I'll honor Dalton's agreement, and I'll go ahead and go first again. First off, I'm going to go ahead and choose swirl because you get a little bit of the best of both worlds. Also, chocolate has so much flavor in it. It's very much a standalone flavor. But on the other side, you have vanilla, where you can add so many different toppings and so many different choices, so many different possibilities in order to enhance it, right? So you get that standalone, you get that potential for that standalone. I mean, you also get all the toppings on top of it. I mean, you really can't go wrong with swirl ice cream. It's the best of both worlds. Dalton?
Okay, I'm going to have to disagree here. Vanilla ice cream is the greatest thing that God has ever put on this earth. And you can use vanilla ice cream for milkshakes. You can use it for anything you want to. You can put ice cream on anything. I mean, if you go to a Hispanic restaurant, they're frying bloody ice cream. You know, and that's something that you just can't do with a chocolate swirl. You know, I'm all for Neapolitan, but vanilla is the trick of the trade, and that's just all they can say about it. You know, there's so many different aspects of and versions of vanilla, but there's only one chocolate swirl. Give me all those different vanillas and let me try them. I'll have a field day all day.
Solid
Okay.
points.
Nick,
Nick,
I saw your reaction with Dalton. What would you give him? And what would you give me? One more time? What? Wow. Joe?
all right. Johnny, good argument, but Dalton hit the nail on the head here. I could add sprinkles, cherries. I could put chocolate sauce on it. If I put chocolate sauce on some chocolate ice cream, it gets a little too much. So, Dalton, great argument. Vanilla all the way. Nobody brought up getting it in a baseball helmet cone, though. If someone brought that up, that would have got bonus points because that's the best way to eat an ice cream. I don't care what kind of cone you're putting it in. If it's in a mini baseball helmet, it's the way to go. But Dalton,
Hey, so Go ahead. Sorry.
Dalton, I'm giving you a 4. Johnny, I'll give you a 3.
So with a final score of 6-6, 9-4, Dalton is our champion for brackets this week. Congratulations, Dalton. I'm going to give
Hey,
you
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. All you guys had great points. If I can just make 1 point on the ice cream, then I'll leave the ice cream alone. I know you
can
boys,
make that for your final take.
Well, I just got one. No, I don't want it to be my final take. I got one little 10-second. If you have never heard of Bluebell ice cream, you better invest in it. Order it online, whatever you got to do. Vanilla Bluebell ice cream. Get it.
I can't disagree with that one.
Oh, you've had it?
So we got to move on to the trivia question. After that, Dalton, you get to choose which order we do final thoughts in. So the trivia question this week, on July 7th, 1923, the Cleveland beat the Boston Red Sox 27-3. How many runs did they score in the 6th inning? Dalton, you guessed 13. Joe, you guessed 27. I guessed 20. The correct answer is 13 runs.
What? Are you serious?
You got it right. You're 2 for 2 today, buddy.
Dude, I swear to God, I did not look that up. I just get lucky number 13, I swear.
You are
Wow.
You are on point today, Dalton. Congratulations. Congratulations to everybody who got it right, and thank you to everyone who guessed our trivia question of the week. With that said, we're going to go ahead and move over to final thoughts. Dalton, you won this week's bracket. You get to choose the order.
Man, Joseph, you're an interesting fella. I got to say that. So, you know, I mean, all you guys are interesting. Don't get me wrong. But, Joseph, I got to hear what you got to say, man. Come on. And then Johnny, Nick's already had his or no?
Nick
He's
doesn't
muted.
get one. He's muted.
Okay.
He's done.
Okay. All right. So,
His
Joseph, Johnny, then me.
final thought is that smile on his face. Final thoughts. I know you, Dalton, we're going to cover it a little bit, but we kind of had the same final thought. UFC 251, Fight Island. Jorge Masvidal is the main event in that card. If you get a chance to watch a fight, you want to see this guy do it. Live sports, he's out of control. He's wild. He's the new Conor McGregor. His press conferences are great, and his knockouts are absolutely incredible. It'll be a crazy fight. Tune in if you enjoy sports and want to see some live action TV. I can't wait for Fight Island.
Okay. My final thought for this week is that the very first 5-star recruit ever in the entire history that ESPN has been doing ESPN top basketball recruits, Makir Maker has committed to an HBCU, Howard University. So he's hoping to pave the way for more top-rated college basketball players to commit to HBCUs. In fact, Bronny James is now on the watch list for North Carolina Central University. So I hope that more basketball players, more top-rated basketball players can commit to HBCUs and continue the movement. And congratulations to Makir Maker on committing to Howard University. Go ahead, Dalton.
Okay, so I have 2 points here. The first one, I just wanted to give a shout out here to a friend in my hometown. We've been friends since 6th grade, Curtis Klemke. He said he was going to watch this show, but he has just been diagnosed with leukemia. And, Curtis, my prayers go out for you and your family, and we're here for the fight with you. And I know you're going to tackle this, just like every football player you tackled in high school. So, hey, much love to you, Curtis. But my final thought of the day, UFC Fight Island, the first one, same as you, Joseph. I mean, come on, 3 title fights. We got Street Jesus versus Usman. You got Max Holloway, Jose Aldo. It's an absolutely loaded card. You got to check it out. I honestly think we're going to see 3 title changes. And that's just how I feel. And even the 2 women fights are absolutely amazing. Dana White has knocked it out of the park this time. And I think what he said during the coronavirus, he was going to be the first one to bring back sports. And he's done that in so many ways. So respect to Dana White. Much love to you. Check out UFC 251 this Saturday on ESPN+. That's all I got.
All right, and because Nick is muted, we're going to go ahead and skip him. But with that said, Dalton and Joe, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. It was an absolute pleasure to have you both on, filling in for John Donnelly and Joe Dentile. And we hope to have you guys on again soon. So, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Like I said earlier, Donnelly, I don't have as great of a beard, but I have a little more hair, so maybe you can match up those standards next time.
Well, there you go.
If you're watching.
Hey, much love to Joe Gentile. I met him in Fenway Park. Great person. His sister Megan, awesome person. Much love to you guys. Love being on the show. You can ask me to be on here anytime, and I will join. Much love.
Absolutely, guys. You're welcome anytime. But for now, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this week. This has been Sports Take. My name is Johnny Redmond, joined alongside Nick Odell, Dalton Goins, and Joe Arvison. Thank you all so much for watching. We hope to see you next week. But in the meantime, keep watching sports.